Well, I have a serious question to ask you, one that has been, I don't know, playing over and over in my mind over the last couple of days, especially. Are you as fed up as I am, and what do you intend to do about it? Those are two things that have really been weighing on me. I know that a lot of you are probably as fed up as I am, but you're sitting here going, what do I do, and how do I fix it? Okay, let me tell you what I'm talking about. I am sick and tired of the left-wing media and those Democrats on the left who are coming out in force trying everything that they can possibly do to take down this president. Now, that's bad enough in and of itself. But what it really amounts to is the taking down of the American political system and of our sovereignty, really. If you're looking at it, you take away our political system and how that works. You take away that what we have done to put this government in place. We elected this government. We went through the democratic process, everything that we were supposed to do. And if you attack that, you are attacking the sovereignty of the United States. You're putting the sovereignty at risk here. And let me go over some things in case you've been out of town, you just haven't turned on the TV, whatever the case may be. You need to know what's been going on in your country. And you need to stay awake about what's been going on in your country. So I'm going to start with what happened with the Washington Post. The Washington Post came out the other day, and they talked about how this president leaked information during his meeting in the White House with the foreign minister of Russia and the Russian ambassador. And it was a big deal. It was breaking news. Oh, we've got the president this time. We're going to get him impeached this time. Let me get this breaking news out to you. So some anonymous source, always somebody that we can't see, somebody that we can't hear, somebody that may or may not exist, only in the figment of the Washington Post's imagination, that person or persons gave the information to the Washington Post, saying that this president, our President Trump leaked information, classified information, during his meeting in the White House with the Russians. And they go on and they talk about, it was a source somehow that Donald Trump mentioned a source, and he told the Russian ambassador and the foreign minister, and this is just impeachable. They didn't go so far as to say impeachable. What came later was their little minions in the House, Senate, the Democrats, House and Senate, talking about let's impeach Trump. The kind that Maxine Waters says she's never done. She's never called for his impeachment, although she comes out every single day that she's offered a spot on CNN or MSNBC and talks about impeaching Trump. Okay, those people. So basically, they say all of this. They talk about a source that he revealed. And immediately we have McMaster, the head of the NSA, coming out in a press briefing. Now we've got to do press briefings every day to clean up false information, by the way, with no proof, by the way, from the Washington Post and others who were saying, oh, this happened and here's the evidence, although we don't have any evidence, but here's the quote-unquote evidence, wink, wink. Okay? So McMaster comes out and says, there's absolutely no merit to what the Washington Post just said. I was there in the meeting. Rex Tillerson was in the meeting. Dina Powell was in the meeting. And the president did absolutely nothing that was, that was improper, that was criminal, that released classified information. None of that. Now, from what I understand with McMaster, he has a pretty good reputation. Most people believe what he has to say and feel that if there was any wrongdoing, he would have said it, he would have told the press, and no matter who this president was. So, of course, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough because the very next day you have the lovely White House press corps back asking question after question after question, because they just don't want to let it die. And this is even after they tried to get questions the next day from McMaster. who basically came out once again and said, none of this is true. The Washington Post is wrong. What they said is wrong. But the Washington Post, see, before McMaster came out, they took and dissected everything that McMaster said in his press briefing. And every word, they're wordsmiths. That's what the left likes to do. And they said, well, we didn't talk about the military. We didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about that. So everything that McMaster is denying, it's not what we talked about. Of course. Of course. They can't take it for face value. They've got to make stuff up. And that's exactly what they did. And so near the end briefing, and I say go back and listen to McMaster on his press briefing. I want you to hear the very end of it, kind of like right before he started to walk out. And he said this. He goes, let me kind of give you a blanket statement, a general statement here. President Trump wasn't briefed on the source. Okay, let me repeat that. President Trump wasn't briefed on the source of that information he supposedly said to the Russians. Oh, really? So let's see. If you don't know something, then how are you able to talk about something? If you weren't briefed on it, you don't know who the source is, then how did you supposedly tell the Russians who the source was? Well, obviously you can't do that. Was that reported in the press? Oh, no. Oh, no, no. We didn't hear anything about that. They just went right on, business as usual. Let's continue to try and take the president down. And that's what they did. Because the very next thing, again, press briefings, trying to get the information, repeat the same questions, that doesn't work. Okay, so what do we do next? Well, I tell you, here's what we do. We get the New York Times to come out with something that says, we know who the source was, and here is the source. So we're talking about the New York Times with the Washington Post, both very liberal, left-leaning media, by the way, in case you didn't know that. In case you didn't know the obvious. They're trying to get President Trump for leaking classified information to the Russians on who the source was. And then they come out and they tell the American public and they tell the world who the source is. So who's leaking classified information now? And again, somebody had to tell them. Somebody leaked information to the New York Times for the New York Times to be able to come out and leak classified information to the United States and to the world. And they told everybody the source was Israel. Now, let's back up a little bit. Even if Donald Trump, in the White House with the Russians, even if he had known who the source was, that was considered classified information, even if he told the Russians, the President of the United States, listen, Democrats, listen, you liberals on the left, the President of the United States has the authority as President of the United States. I know you don't believe that he's President of the United States. I get that. But he's still the elected President of the United States. He has the authority to declassify information right there on the spot and tell anybody he wants to. He did nothing illegal. And even the Washington Post had to admit there probably wasn't anything illegal about it. And of course they buried that in the story, but they did say it. So they knew, but they continued on with the story anyway because they didn't care. Because they wanted the public, those people who don't follow the news every day, those people who just sit down and quickly look through, on the internet to see what the news of the day is. By the way, mostly looking at headlines, not reading the story. They won't know about that. All they will see is the president, Donald Trump, leaked classified information to the Russians, which continues their narrative, their false narrative about collusion with the Russians and Donald Trump and the administration, for which they have proven zero because they have no proof. Zero once again. But it's the Saul Alinsky rules. Tell you long enough, often enough, and pretty soon the accusations will become true to people who are listening to it. They will start to believe it. And that's exactly what they're doing. And it's pretty pathetic. And so then after the New York Times came out and revealed the source, then Israel has to come forward and say, yes, it was us. And you know what? We have no problems with this president. We have no problems with what he's been accused of doing. We're still your allies. We still love you. Have a nice day. But that didn't, come on. That's not enough. Really, if we're stopped at this way, this is the Democrats' way of thinking, the liberal left. If we're stopped here, we'll go to another plan, because it used to be, before Donald Trump got into office, they started to gin stuff up, right? And then he got into office, and it was kind of like maybe once a month, once every couple of weeks, they would say something about Trump. They'd send Maxine Waters. They'd put her out there in front of a camera. She'd say something about Donald Trump. And then it started to be like, well, let's impeach Donald Trump. And then it went from every couple of weeks to every week. And then eventually to every day. And I'm telling you something. We're down to hours now. We are down to hours. The Washington Post comes out. Hours later, the next day, the New York Times article comes out about the source being Israel. And then when that didn't work, later the same afternoon as the New York Times article, we come out with, oh, and by the way, James Comey has a memo that he wrote about Donald Trump asking him to obstruct justice when it comes to Michael Flynn. You see there, we knew all along, he's connected to the Russians. Case closed. Let's move on. Let's bring back Obama, and maybe Hillary can be his vice president. I mean, that's their dream. And so here we are, these organizations, those on the left coming out, oh, James Comey has a memo. He was fired, because he was doing this Russian investigation on Trump, and they just had to get rid of him. I mean, that's the whole premise that the left has. So that's why Comey was fired. Not because on July 5th, when President Obama was still president, Comey went up in front of the public and the press and basically said, we have all this information on Clinton, on Hillary Clinton, but we've decided not to prosecute her. What? You're the FBI director? You don't make decisions about whether or not somebody will be prosecuted? That's not part of what you do. That's not part of your office. So he overstepped his authority on July 5th, and President Obama had the ability to fire him, and he should have been fired then. He wasn't. President Trump comes in, maybe wanting to give him the benefit of the doubt. He could have been fired, should have been fired, but he wasn't. The time came to fire him when he went out once again in front of Congress, made statements about Uma Abedin, had to go back later and amend them. And I believe that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, everybody else in the press says, oh, but wait a minute. Trump said he fired him because all these other people looked at it, that, like the deputy U.S. Attorney General Rosenstein looked at it, and all these other people looked at it, and they recommended that he be fired. And then Trump has said, well, I was going to fire him anyway. Okay, people think those are mutually exclusive. No, he can have those thoughts in his head, I need to fire this guy because he's a moron. And he could also say, I'm waiting on the recommendation from the U.S. Attorney General. What do they think about it? You can have independent thoughts. I hate to tell people that. Washington, D.C., they are people too. They can have independent thoughts of each other. And who knows? Maybe if the Attorney General had recommended he not be fired, maybe Trump would have done it anyway. What's the big deal here? But we have to make this a big deal because that's what the Democrats and those on the left want to do. Because they want to make it a big deal so that you think it's out of control. And that Donald Trump is out of control. And somehow Donald Trump is mentally incompetent to be president. And they can say that with a straight face after knowing that Hillary Clinton was running for the presidency. But that's a different story. So getting back to what we have now. Comey gets fired. And now all of a sudden, there's this memo that has somehow surfaced. And we didn't see the memo, of course. It was read over the phone, you see, to the reporter. It was read over the phone. So we don't even know if there was a memo at all. And number two, here's what I think happened. It could have been Comey that released that memo, but I think more likely than not, it was somebody who was left in the department who was upset because Comey was fired and thought, oh, I'm going to get the president now. I've got this memo from Comey saying that, and I think the words, and I don't know them exactly, but the words were, that the president said, hope you can let it go. He's a good man. And then, shortly thereafter, I don't know if it was weeks, days, Comey was fired. And now here comes the memo. Well, here's some things that you need to know about the memo that you're never going to hear in mainstream media. Because, you see, this is factual. This is information that makes a difference. This is information that goes beyond accusing, that goes to the very nature of what we're talking about, and is called, I know, listen liberals, it's called evidence, okay? So here's some factual information. 18 U.S.C. 4 and 28 U.S.C. 1361 states basically what would have happened to Comey had he actually heard President Trump and believed President Trump was trying to obstruct justice. In his position, if it were true, Comey would have been required to immediately tell the DOJ that Trump was attempting to obstruct justice. And that includes, that's any person, and that includes the President of the United States. He didn't do that. If there was obstruction of justice, why did he not run to Sessions, to the guy who's second in command? And I don't know when this happened. I mean, I don't know if Sally Yates was still there or not, but if it was, why not run to her? Why not run to somebody, anybody and everybody that's over you? There are plenty of Democrats still left in the White House you could have talked to if you felt uncomfortable talking to the Republicans. But he didn't do it. Secondly, in his position, if he believed the President of the United States was trying to obstruct justice, failure to do so could mean that criminal charges were brought against Comey for failing to take the steps that he should have taken. And thirdly, if it is proven that Comey should have done it because somehow they proved on the left that there was obstruction of justice, which there wasn't, but even if they could have proven that, and Comey failed to do what he was required to do in his position under the federal law, then Comey could also lose his law license. Do you think that Comey would have, knowing Comey, kind of this uptight looking guy, I mean, he really is kind of uptight, really. It's like you don't get any information out of this guy unless he wants to give it to you, right? So do you think that he would have not taken this golden ticket to the proper authorities and said, I got him dead to rights, obstruction of justice, let's go, let's impeach the president, on and on and on. You darn right he would have. He would have run so quickly in his 6'8" frame that people would have been knocked out of the way with him getting to the U.S. Attorney General's office. But he didn't do it. And now what are you going to do, Comey? What are you going to do? Now the Republicans are calling for, let's see the memo. And Comey, what's he going to say? Yeah, he was obstructing justice, and no, I did not report it. Oh, really? Okay. So let's prepare the criminal charges against Comey for failing to do his job. Let's contact the Bar Association for Comey failing to do his job. Do you really think that's going to happen? Do you think Comey is going to come out and incriminate himself? No, he's not going to. But what's going to happen, if anything, there might be, Comey takes the fifth because, again, he knows the law and he knows that he would be in trouble. That's possible. And so the Democrats can then say, oh, see there, conspiracy theory again. Poor Comey can't talk because he'll get himself in trouble, but we all know the truth, wink, wink. And so, once again, no factual information, nothing to base it on, but the Democrats have once again gotten their way, which is obstruction of their own type of injustice, obstructing the federal government that we elected to do their job. That's their obstruction. But you're not gonna hear any of this. And the thing of it is, again, I think somebody thought they were doing Comey a favor, like, oh, well, this is Comey's revenge. He's gonna seek revenge on the president. And we're gonna have this memo. Memos are nothing more than, I'm writing down what I think was said during a conversation. How credible is it? How fact-based is it? People take sort of little copious notes. Sometimes they're just, little snippets of what a conversation was about. Not going to be very much that they can sink their teeth into if it actually went before a judge or something like that. And again, it's going to be if this number one, if the memo really exists. We don't know. Somebody read it over the phone. And I guarantee you that memo is probably going to disappear. But it was enough to get that word out there into the public, to get the public to be going, gosh, is there something to this? Should I really be concerned? I mean, I've heard people already on different talk shows calling in, well, this is there's an ongoing investigation, and you get rid of Comey, and now you want to say that this memo is no good, and I think this should never have happened. We should never have gotten rid of Comey. See, once again, the investigation is still going on, and this Russian collusion that never happened, or at least we have zero evidence to show it did. We have zero evidence to show what even Russia did, if at all, in regards to the election. And if at all they did anything, we've already said, it's already been proven that there was nothing that impacted, affected, or otherwise caused the election to go any other way than the way it legally went by the voters of the United States. Hillary didn't win, okay? Hillary lost because Hillary lost, not because of the Russians, because Hillary lost. And the liberals will not let it go. They want Hillary in office. They wanted Obama to extend his 8 years on to 12 and perhaps, 16 under a Hillary Clinton. That's exactly what they wanted to do. Who knows? Maybe Hillary would have divorced Bill, and Obama would have divorced Michelle, and they could have had the husband and wife team in that White House. And I'm kidding about that. I'm being sarcastic. But really, do you put anything past them these days? So it's going to be, this whole thing with Comey, and the credibility issue is just going to be horrendous for him. Not if the liberals have it their way, but if you find a court that isn't, a liberal court, or the senators, the Congress, independent prosecutor. I mean, people are calling every single 5 seconds for an independent investigation, an independent prosecutor. I mean, Donald Trump better watch how many times that he, ties his shoes, because somebody's going to have an independent investigator called on that. I've never seen so many calls for independent investigators and impeachment in my entire life. It's a joke. And it's called liberal left. And we have Maxine Waters. Again, Maxine Waters comes out every other day asking for the impeachment of Donald Trump, and then has the audacity, and I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she absolutely doesn't know what she's doing at all. It's a possibility, okay? So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But then she comes out and says, what are you talking about? I never called for his impeachment. What are you people talking about? Okay. It's unbelievable what is happening. And again, what is so unbelievable is that, number one, there is an assault on our president. That's so obvious. There has been, even before Obama left office, with opening up, raw data to be shared by 16 other agencies without information being redacted to protect the people that they were talking about. Information that can be used against conservatives. How many of us? It's supposed to be that, private citizens, no, that they weren't surveilled. Come on. No problem there. And by the way, yeah, we did have Donald Trump on there a couple times, but no big deal because we were looking at somebody else, and the lies go on and on and on. In other words, we've been lied to once again. The American public has been lied to once again, and we're supposed to sit and believe it. So how much longer, do we believe these lies? What do we do about them? But what I think is so serious, and what we should remember, is this isn't just about the attacks against the President of the United States. These are attacks against us as citizens of the United States. Our sovereignty, political system, our republic, whatever you want to call it, is under attack. Now, the Democrats, and when I say the Democrats, I'm talking about the politicians that are in the White House. The Democrats would have you believe, oh no, we're just doing this because Trump is so bad. He's so bad for America. We have to impeach him. That's their story, and they're sticking to it. And so they just want to act like, oh, I'm just helping you. My gosh, I'm trying to save our country. We tried to save the country under Obama. Didn't we? Didn't we do a great job under Obama trying to save the country? Well, we're just trying to do what he would want us to do, what our fearless leader, who has gone on to leading another organization to fight America, would have us do. And so, seriously, we're just helping you. And what they don't tell you is that they're doing this because they want to try and take back control. Now, come on, Susan, don't be a conspiracy theorist. What are you talking about? Well, let's see. 2018 elections are coming up, aren't they? Seems to me they've lost a lot of seats. They're not the majority. They've lost control of their power in the government. They've got to get that back. And short of overthrowing the government by force, they are doing it in every other way that they can. Jay Sekulow, the ACLJ, referred to it, the deep state and what's going on, as a soft coup. I'd say the soft coup is getting a little bit harder. It's not so, it's more obvious than it used to be. But these people don't sleep. I think the Republicans, a lot of times, we go to bed. We're tired. We've worked. We've had a hard day. We've got things to do, important stuff that we're doing. So we're not able to be working 24/7. They are. They work 24/7. They wake up in the morning figuring out how they can do this, and they go to bed at night when they get 2 minutes of sleep and somebody else takes over, how they're going to make this happen, how they're going to take back control of this White House, of Congress, and of the United States of America. And if you don't believe me, read my articles at SUSANKNOWLES.com. I try to tell you in every way that I can and expose what they're doing. See, they set out every day thinking, this is one more day, we're going to expose what Donald Trump is doing. Now, they do it by false accusations. They do it by just repeating those false accusations so that you will believe that it's the truth. But that's not what we do. We have to get the information out there. We have to get sources there so we can have evidence to rely upon, and we have to be truthful. That's why we're different from the left. And a lot of you may think, well, let's play the dirty games that they're playing. No, I don't want to become them. I don't want to be them. I want to do this legitimately, fairly, legally, morally. I know, call me silly. Call me old school, okay? But that's what it is. You can't become the people that you despise and the behaviors that they do and that you despise. You can't be that, or you have become them. I've watched this president. I see what he's doing. I see the fact that he loves America. I haven't seen anything yet that would show me that he's done anything wrong that I should be leery of. Show me some evidence, and I won't support what he's doing. I have seen zero evidence. I have heard made-up stories. That's all that I'm seeing. That's all the American public has seen. So if you got something, bring it on. There's just too many things here with nothing to give any credence to what the left is saying. And they know this. My thoughts are, what are they trying to hide? What is it they don't want us to see? They are trying so hard to destroy this president and everything in it. What is there something they don't want us to know? Are they hiding facts about Seth Rich, a DNC staffer? Is there something there that they're hiding and they're trying to keep us distracted over here so that we don't look into it? I don't know. But I do know what legitimately is the 2018 elections are coming up, and they want to take back some of their losses. They want to put Democrats in there. And the way they want to do that is they want to make everybody believe that the Republicans are lying, that they're supporting this president, and that the Republicans are bad for this country. And I think they're making pretty good headway. Not you and me. You and me aren't believing it. But those people on the left and those people who really don't pay that much attention to the news but get their news from the headline clicks at the end of the day, they may start believing what they're hearing. And it certainly isn't bringing anybody on the left over to our side by what they're doing. I mean, even if those people had considered it, when they're hearing all of this garbage that hits this presidency on a daily and hourly basis, do you think they would want to embrace this president or, conservative ideas? No, they don't. And then what they want to do is those on the left is that they want to continue this rhetoric. So when it comes election time in 2020, the same thing. Oh, do you really want a president who is shrouded in controversy, who is corrupt, who is colluded with the Russians? And so we lose seats again. And guess what? They gain power. They gain power. And that's exactly what they want. They want to take over the political system again. They want to take over this country again. Remember when they were telling us what we could and couldn't do? You remember how they got involved in our health care, in the banking industry, the car industry, the insurance industry, the whatever industry it was their involvement is in? Do you really want to go back to that? And believe me, we're not out of the woods yet. Donald Trump wants to do some of these things and get us out of the woods, but he can't because why? He's tied up with this on a 24-hour basis. I don't know how at 70 years old or at any age you take this BS. I really don't know. Somehow he seems to be able to do it. And part of that somehow is I think that he does lean on God and God is helping him. Because I'm telling you, you don't get this kind of strength at 70 years old to put up with this stuff. The man never sleeps. I don't know how he does it. 40-year-olds wouldn't be able to keep up with him. And I'll tell you, I do another show called God's Views on Political News, and you can find it on my website at SUSANKNOWLES.com. It's a concept I came up with about Let's talk about the news and politics, but let's see what God's viewpoint is on that. What does the Bible say about that? And so after the show, he and I were talking, and I asked him if I could share this, and he said yes. And I think it's really pertinent and something that you should know. It's something that you'll never hear of in the mainstream media because they don't want you to know this. But he said to me, you remember how, Trump surrounded himself with evangelicals. They prayed for him. They counseled him. Apparently, when Trump feels like he or his administration needs prayers, he or someone else within the White House will call on several people, these evangelicals, who he will say, we need prayer. And they will pray for him. And just to make it clear, no, in case the liberals are wanting to make a big deal out of that, no, he's not giving out classified information to the evangelicals and telling them what his moves are and why they need to pray. So let's just get that straight right now. No, but he's asking them in general for prayer. And I think that's good, and I think it's you need to know this because you need to know that he is seeking God and continues to seek God and is wanting to do the right thing. I mean, to me, that's a pretty good indication. Now, is he perfect? Is he going to get everything right? And should I put 100% faith in Donald Trump? No. You should put your 100% faith in God only, never in any man or woman. But that doesn't mean that you don't trust without, trust and verify. Don't do like the liberals. Actually go look for sources and facts to back up what the president is saying. So far, I have seen that he's done everything in a positive way for America. He's helped veterans. He's gotten rid of the VA whistleblower, protection. Now the whistleblowers can come forward. That's an amazing thing. We didn't see that under Obama. That wasn't going to happen. And it hasn't happened in the last 80 years. And we've seen other things time after time. Him wanting to try and protect this country, but unable to because at every turn the liberals block him by courts who feel that they have more authority and power than the President of the United States. More authority and power than the executive branch. And I hope, court, that you're going to be proven wrong when it gets to the Supreme Court. I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on. And I just saw breaking news so that you know that the Senate Intelligence Committee wants James Comey to come forward and testify about his memo. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. As I said, there's going to be a Fifth Amendment coming here, not wanting to, I'm going to take the Fifth. I can't talk to you about that. I don't want to lose the law license, be criminally implicated, or anything else possibly that's going to be coming right out of James Comey's mouth. Again, the liberals, the one tactic that they do, and it's afforded to them just like it is to you or me. You can always take the Fifth. You can come out and say whatever you want. If there's some criminal prosecution that could occur, I'm taking the Fifth here. Okay. And again, it just gets the word out there, and you can falsely say anything, and then you just take the Fifth. Look at Lois Lerner. I mean, come on. There's somebody who, if it hadn't been under Obama, she went in there, pled the Fifth, and then started to say things which would have violated that or nullified it, whatever word you want to use, and any other court, any other hearing, any other proceeding with didn't include Obama would have made her testify at that point. But we didn't do that because it was more important to go after the conservatives and allow her to do such things. And trust me, it's still happening. I've never seen so many assaults from those on the left, trolls on the internet, people like myself being personally attacked verbally online and other places, sent emails with attachments that people want me to open so that I can get a virus on my computer, on and on and on. And then we have, social media who is trying to stop our First Amendment speech. And again, we don't have that under Facebook or Twitter. But the left has free speech. We just don't. So, it's a problem. And the left, if you think the left, if they're going to give up on this, they're not. They do what they do, as I said, on a continuous basis every single day. It's what they brush their teeth with, right? They lap this up and come up with strategy meetings. After all, Valerie Jarrett is living with the Obamas in their home. Do you think they're not 24 hours having people come in and out of that house? But believe me, they're talking strategy. And, we just sit here and go, well, what can I do about it? There's so much. I really can't do anything about it. What can I do against the Washington Post? What can I do against the New York Times? I'm just one person. Well, I do Periscope and YouTube every day at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we talk about news and politics. And part of what we talk about is how do we strategize against the left? What do? Because we've been sitting here far too long waiting for the left to come out every single hour and give out information. False information. Information with no backing. Fake news. Whatever you want to call it. And so we decided as a group, we're going to do something about it. One of the things that we're going to do, and if you can do this, we would really appreciate it. You can join us. That every time that you write something, every time you send out a meme, every time you do an article or retweet an article, that you put the hashtag expose the left. Hashtag expose the left on everything that you do. And if you want to do a meme, a lot of times when we see these funny memes, it's, Elizabeth Warren, and there's, a Pocahontas reference, something with Native American headdress, whatever. There's no time for jokes. There's no time for doing things like that. It may cause you to get attention, but you're going to get negative attention. What we want to do is get the truth out there. We want people to know the truth and see it. We don't want to have memes. We don't want to turn people away. We want people on the left. And there's going to be somebody somewhere someday, right? And we need that one person, and then one more person, and then another person. But we need that person to look at the meme that has fact-based information on it about whoever, whether it's Maxine Waters, whether it's Nancy Pelosi, or something else that the left has done, or anything on Comey. You want to have fact-based information on the meme, maybe with a person's picture, and give sources if you can. Maybe it's one source, one fact, one source, and a picture. And then put that everywhere with the hashtag expose the left. Because we need to expose the left. We're sitting here not exposing what they're doing, not exposing the charges, let's say, that have been brought against people. Or Corinne Brown, who recently got 18 felonies against her. She was prosecuted, she was charged, prosecuted, she's going to be sentenced soon. She was doing fraud and tax evasion. And nobody, not even a peep comes out about her. And if you're saying, well, I don't know where to get all these facts, I don't know how to do that, go to my website, SUSANKNOWLES.com. Every article I write, unless it's an opinion piece by me, and if I have somebody in there that I quoted, I will put the source in there. You can see it's highlighted. Every time I write an article, I have a source. Go in there, pull out the facts. I try to get reputable sources and reputable information. And do your own research as well. Go find the information and put it on the meme. But everything that we do, every tweet, every meme, everything, every article, we should put hashtag expose the left. Put that on Twitter. Put that on Facebook. Put it everywhere so that we can get this trending. So that the left gets to hear us fighting back. They get to hear our voices. They get to know that we're not going to sit down and let them come after our president and come after us, American citizens. And again, if you don't even like this president, you should be outraged. You should be outraged at how this Democratic Party, how these people in the House and the Senate Democrats and other liberals out there who are taking away your political process, who are putting you at national risk in the United States because they're not allowing this president to do his job. That, if nothing else, should outrage you to the point of getting up off your sofa and doing something. I'm madder than I've ever been. Because I sit here, I know what's happening. I see what's happening to my country. I mean, we thought under Obama, if we could just get Obama out, we could get our country back. These people don't want you to get your country back. And I'm not saying get out there and do anything illegal, fight these people physically or anything else. I am saying everything that you have legally and morally that you can do, get out there and do it. Whether it's holding rallies in front of the Washington Post building in your neighbor, in whatever city that you're in, or if it's going out with signs, whatever your First Amendment rights that you can legally do, go do them. As I said, hashtag expose the left. Put that on everything. Keep it trending. And I tell you what, this is something that we forget to do, and this I think is the most important. We need to pray every day for President Trump and this administration, that they would draw closer to God, that they would listen to the American people, that they would be able to fight off the enemy. And this is a spiritual battle. If you see it in other ways, there are other things happening, but if you don't see the spiritual battle, you need to wake up and see the spiritual battle. It is a spiritual battle. And it's ridiculous that we watch this every day, and yet we forget to pray. We forget to speak out about what's happening. We need to pray. And for those of you, I know there are people that are listening, you have prayer circles. Include the president, the vice president, and the rest of the administration, and include the United States of America into your prayers. That they and we, through God taking control of all of this, that we will defeat the enemy, that they will not destroy this country any further than they have already destroyed this country. I mean, how many of us said we don't recognize our country anymore under Obama? Because we didn't. He just about took everything that we had that was recognizable. And they're not done. They're not done. They will not rest. They want this back. They want 2020, they want it back. They want 2024, they want it back. They want it back now, though. They're not even willing to wait to the 2018 elections, getting back some of their seats, and they're not willing to wait to after 4 years. No, they want it now. And they will do everything they can, chipping away every day until they get what they want. And if we don't stand up and fight back on that, legally and morally, then we're going to lose everything that we gained. Everything that we have gotten so far under this president, again, who is not perfect, but is trying to do everything. I truly believe that he is trying to do what's best for this country, that he loves America, that he loves God. And you can sit out there and think, oh, well, Susan, she's been blinded by all. No, I haven't been blinded by it. As I've told everyone before, and I've not made a secret out of this, I was not for Donald Trump. I was for another candidate. I was for Ted Cruz because I'm a constitutionalist. And, I wasn't happy with some of the things about Trump. I wasn't happy with some of the things that he said. And I prayed about it. I prayed about, can I vote for this man? Is this man the person who should lead our country? And I prayed about it. My husband and I both prayed about it, and we got absolute peace about it. And does that mean that I sit here and blindly follow Donald Trump? As I said before, I don't blindly follow any man or woman. I will look and see what he's doing, but I'm not going to, at the same time, I'm not going to convict any man, any woman, with no proof. And your false accusations from the left, those are not proof. And I don't believe in the fact that you prove somebody guilty before you've even shown any evidence to do so. This is still America. This is still our country. I know you want it, and I know you want this country to make it what you want it, which is a country that is unrecognizable. I mean, we have our schools now who are introducing, safe rooms for Muslims because CARE came out in 2015 with some study that CARE did. I mean, there's an unbiased study for you, saying that Muslims were somehow more bullied in school than everybody else, right? And so what the school districts, oh gosh, all right, well, we've got to do something about that now. We're going to have safe rooms for you. We're going to have, you can do prayer rooms in there if you like. And we're also, oh, by the way, we want to teach in social studies class, we're going to teach you all about Islam. It's all about Islam. I mean, we have so many things that the left wants to continue to do to just transform America into something unrecognizable. And I think some of us thought, well, after Trump gets in, we can just go back to sleep. No. Oh, no. Oh, no. I think now you'd better be more awake now than you ever were before. You'd better be out there now more than you ever were before, trying to do something, trying to do anything that you are humanly possible and capable of doing, legally and morally, to save this country. It isn't just about Donald Trump. I mean, that would be easy, right? You can say, oh, it's about Donald Trump. Well, easy come, easy go. Sometimes presidents make it. Sometimes presidents win. But, no big deal. America will keep going. It always does. And we'll just have another president and we'll win in 2020 again. Oh, no. If that's what you're thinking, I have to totally disagree with you. This is an all-out war that's being fought against the American public. And I, for one, I'm doing everything within my power to do what I can do to see justice in this country, to ensure that our sovereignty stays intact, to ensure that the laws of America are upheld. And I know, you know what? I'm not naive enough to think that there aren't enemies on the right. There are. There are Republicans right now in Congress who are sitting there going, well, show me the proof, instead of saying, you know what? We're sick and tired of you on the left trying to make up stories. You've cried wolf so many times that we're done. We're done with you. Stop attacking the president unless you have some valid evidence that you can show us. Not somebody hiding behind a telephone going, oh, well, he read me the memo. I'm sure there was a memo. The guy's probably sitting there with a napkin with words written on it that he put there himself. I mean, I don't know, because we don't even know if there is a memo. Stop hiding in the darkness. Stop saying, oh, well, some source somewhere, somehow, someday told us. Yeah, I know that they, that the press has to have some sources that they can't reveal. But every source, everything, you got to have somebody else that's going to collaborate what your secret, hidden in the dark source said. We're tired of it. We're tired of your lies. Tired of it. And I would tell everybody to go out and not buy the Washington Post or the New York Times, but you don't buy it anyway. So it doesn't do any good to tell you not to do that, to say this is part of letting them know we don't like it, stop buying their product. We can't do that because you don't buy it anyway because it's garbage. We know it's garbage. It's like, the Huffington Post. It's left-leaning. It's not going to be anything conservative ideas. Why would you buy it in the first place? But I tell you, we've got to stand up and start demanding that this stop. Hashtag expose the left. We've got to start exposing the lies. We have to start exposing their agenda. Enough is enough. You're tired of it. I'm tired of it. I want to see my country move forward. I want to see things that are supposed to be done get done. I want to see my country running again and doing things that are in the best interest of the country, not in the best interest of the liberal Democrats. And if that calls for, impeachment of some office that is not doing their job, that is spreading lies and on and on and on, then perhaps we need to do that. I mean, I've seen things saying, impeach Maxine Waters. Hey, I'll sign the petition. Give it to me. But if it's, impeach Jerry Brown, Jerry Brown's out in 2018 anyway. Hopefully Maxine Waters will be. But so far I haven't seen a candidate that I thought could run against Maxine and win, go against her. Come on, people in her district, which I've been told she doesn't even live inside of her district. Come on. Let's get somebody who's willing to step up and run for her seat. Get her out. And you would have one less liberal lie coming from the left. But we've got to get serious. I don't live in that area, or I'd run against her. I probably wouldn't win because, she's pretty much had her group of people there in Los Angeles, her constituents. They believe her. I don't know why, but they believe her. I don't know if she's giving away free candy and that's how she gets people to believe those lies. I don't know. But somebody in that area, there's got to be somebody in that area who can run against her that can win. And you take on one seat at a time, one Senate seat, one House seat at a time to get these people out of there. And it's too bad that, a lot of everything depends upon the money. It really does. And I tell you, Republicans, conservatives, you're going to have to open up your pocketbooks, right? You got the liberal left that gives money to any cause, and that's why they're defeating us. You've got big people on the right who have the money who just aren't giving the money to get things done. Those big conservative donors, you got to start helping us out here. You got to start helping us get the word out. You got to start helping us get people elected. Whatever we need to do. Now is the time. Now is the time to stand up. We thought the time to stand up was under Obama. No, it's 100 times worse now than it was under Obama. You know that. You didn't see any attacks like this. It was something that was absolutely unheard of. And we haven't seen attacks against the president and our sovereignty and our very security, national security, in our lifetimes. We really haven't. And we're going to continue to see them, and they're going to get worse. Instead of hour by hour, we're going to go to minute by minute until these people on the left have their lies exposed. Please, hashtag expose the left. Please put that on anything and everything. Get it out there. Start tweeting things out. Start putting articles out there. Please retweet and share my article with the hashtag expose the left. It's critical that we get this done. Our country depends upon it. I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you so much for all that you do. Until next time, God bless you. Take care. We'll see you again next week.